If you're a professional boxer and you actually punch someone, there's a pretty good chance that you will be charged with something like attempted murder, because at the end of the day, you are capable of murder with your bare hands. Now, Billy Joe Saunders is not an idiot, it seems to me. He's a guy who should know an awful lot better than he apparently does, because what he did was he put out what I assume he thought was a funny video of him punching a punch bag. But you know what he was actually doing? He wasn't showing you how to keep fit during the coronavirus self-isolation period. He wasn't showing you how it's possible to keep yourself in pretty good shape because of all the stuff that you're eating, because of all the stuff that you're drinking, and because of the couch potato lifestyle that you happen to have obviously picked up. Here's what he was doing. He was basically teaching men how to punch their partners if they got a bit out of order. I'll say that again. He was teaching men how to punch women. Right? He was actually describing how you take a woman down physically with your fists, okay? Unbelievable and utter stupidity from a man who really ought to know better. He actually did make an apology for it at the end, but at the beginning, he talks about using a straight right hand to punch a woman in the face. He then talks about using a left to punch her anywhere else while she's falling down. I think it's quite hideous. I think it's quite ridiculous. Whatever champions of boxing have made of this, I don't know. Whatever belts that he has won, I think they should be taken from him. Whatever, money he has been given, I think large amounts of it should be removed from him in some fine or other. But how awful, how ghastly, and how ridiculously cruel can one man be? I just can't believe that anyone in the boxing community would ever defend this guy. He's an absolutely disgusting creature, and I think we should now put him very firmly in that cage where nobody ever talks to him, nobody ever allows him to be given a public platform again. I think he should be forgotten about, and I think he should be put away for quite some time. Incredibly, he now thinks by apologising for it that makes everything okay. Kelly Maloney is going to join us very shortly, but he was also on White and Saunders earlier on today, and let's find out exactly what was said.
First of all, obviously I've said apology on social media. Just want to say sorry to everyone. Obviously, it's offended. I looked at it as a bit of a joke at first. I wasn't obviously clearly thinking right. But, looking back at it now, and I've had talks with management and other people, and clearly now I can see the destruction that is caused among the women who are suffering from domestic violence, So it was obviously a silly mistake, but I didn't mean or intentionally mean to cause any harm to anyone, and certainly wouldn't promote domestic violence. It's been done, I can't take it back,
Well, he says he can't take it back, but this is also a guy who, by the way, who just appeared there on TalkSport on White and Sawyer. I don't know why I can't say White and Sawyer for some reason. Anyway, let's talk to Kelly Maloney about what it is that is wrong with Billy Joe Saunders, because at the end of the day, he's already been filmed passing drugs to a prostitute, or attempting to pass drugs to a prostitute. You'd think he would have learned his lesson. You'd think the boxing fraternity could do without this guy. Kelly, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Thanks a lot for joining us. What's wrong with him?
Well, he's obviously not had any lessons in media training or PR, unfortunately. Boxers don't get that sort of training like other sports people do, and it's a downfall of the sport, and I think boxers think the more outrageous they are, the better it is.
Well, come on, Kelly. I mean, you don't need to be trained into telling someone why beating up women is not a very good idea. Surely.
I'm not defending that. You asked me what's wrong with Billy Joel Saunders, and I'm just saying that he hasn't had the media training.
No, I'm not buying that though. You're saying that it's not his fault. You're saying because nobody's told him.
I'm not saying it's. I didn't say it's not his fault at all. You asked me what was wrong. I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe he's got a mental problem. Maybe he's got a problem with communicating. I don't know. What he put out is not right as a joke or as any form. Violence towards anyone is not acceptable, and especially in a time like this, because Billy Joel should be a role model because he's a world champion, and even though it was meant as a joke, you are going to get some people who actually may follow the instructions, and that is the danger of things like that.
Well, that's it. I mean, have you seen the video?
I only see what you sent to me, but I've had a couple of friends who phoned me. I believe it's been taken.
I mean, he's
down,
punching.
but, you know,
He's punching a heavy bag, right? Which you'll be very familiar with because you've been in the business a long time. He's punching a heavy bag and making out and talking about how he's hitting somebody in the face, then he's hitting them further down. I mean, it's unbelievable.
He's given instructions, which is wrong. It's totally out of order, and the British Boxing Board of Control should pull him up as well. And
should they not strip him of his title?
That would be the WBO. That wouldn't be the British Boxing Board of Control. But I know the British Boxing Board are pretty strict on things like that because of other fighters that have made unsavoury comments on and used Twitter.
Well, as I said, it's not the first time, is it? Because he had this other situation before where he was also filming himself, thinking it was very funny. Basically preying on this very vulnerable prostitute, offering her drugs.
No, I never saw that, to be honest. I don't follow Billy Joe Saunders' Twitter account.
No, neither do I. But I just notice it when he does something idiotic, and this is the second idiotic thing he's done. And I don't care to think about what the third idiotic thing is going to be.
Well, unfortunately, education is very important, isn't it? And it's very much a lack of education and a lack of understanding of what's going on in the world.
Yeah, but here's what happens, right? Because his management obviously said to him, you better be careful, otherwise you're going to have no business to do. I would never condone domestic violence, and if I saw a man touch a woman, I would smash him to pieces myself. It's not exactly the greatest apology you've ever heard, is it?
No, and it should be apology. There should have been no apology because it shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Exactly right.
I mean,
well, what do you think should happen to him now? I mean, I don't think I want to see him ever fight professionally again.
Well, I think he will turn a lot of women against him because women are quite big supporters now in boxing.
Yeah.
I spoke to one girl today who was a Billy, and she said, "Oh, he didn't really mean it." But I said, "But it doesn't matter if he meant it or not. It's out there. It's in the public domain." I've made comments in the past, which, as Frank Maloney, which I shouldn't have made, and I can never retract them because they're always out there in the public domain. And people forget this: the internet and Twitter and things like that completely can destroy a person's career, and this could be the start of Billy Joel's career being destroyed.
Well, I don't think too many people would be upset if that was the case. I don't want to take anybody's ability to make money or make a living away from them, but he's made a very good living out of boxing, and I don't buy this idea that because nobody's told him that he can't do stuff like that, he doesn't know that he can't do it. I mean, these are two very unsavoury incidents that he's now been involved in, and I think he really needs to take a long, hard look at what he's doing.
Yeah, if I was in his management team, I would say to him, your next fight, you either donate or at least donate a big proportion of your purse towards a charity for domestic violence, and hope that people will forgive you. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Kelly, listen, thanks very much indeed. Kelly Maloney, boxing promoter, of course, with a few words to say about Billy Joe Saunders. I think the idea that this guy thinks he can just say sorry because he needs to save his career because his management have told him to say sorry, and then his apology also contains the words smashing somebody to pieces. I mean, he really does need to get a life, this guy.